Hello students, today we will see how to draw a class diagram for project documentation. As we all know that we draw various UML diagrams to have a visual representation or a prototype of a system. To give a static view of a system or a structural view of a system, we require a class diagram. A class diagram is used for visualization, for coding purpose, and for documentation of a project. It is also helpful for the reverse engineering of a project. Class diagram coupled with object diagram gives us the overall view of the system, including various classes which are identified using the OOPS concept. Along with the classes, a class diagram has attributes, operations in terms of relations such as association, inheritance, aggregation, and composition. And after that, we draw the entire class diagram. So let us see that what are the various steps to draw a class diagram. A class diagram is drawn by considering a case study. This case study may be belonging to an institute management system, library management system, online exam management system, online shopping management system. So these are the various case studies which can be considered to draw a class diagram. I have considered here to draw a case study which deals with university's procedure to select the research center and to select the research scholar as PhD candidates or as MPhil candidates by the PhD guide. This PhD guide is also responsible to upload his academic details, and as well as he or she can select his or her research center for these research scholars. The constraints are also given in this project, such as only 8 PhD students and 4 MPhil students are permitted to register under a PhD guide. So now we will see what are the various steps to draw a class diagram. The various steps to draw a class diagram are: first, we need to identify the classes. Then, we need to identify the attributes and operations which are pertaining to a particular class. In the third step, we need to identify various relationships amongst classes. And fourth, we will draw the entire visualization or the prototype of the system in the form of this class diagram. The first step is about identifying a class. To identify a class, there are many approaches. There is a common class approach which we have used to identify the classes in this case study. One of the approach is the CRC cards approach, which stands for class, responsibilities, and collaborators. One of the approach is the noun phrase approach, and the last, it is the use case driven approach. So let us see how we have identified these classes using the common class approach. The first approach, or the first column heading, it tells us that in a common class we may have a concept class which is about giving an abstract view, or which includes the non-tangible classes in a given case study. The second is the event class. Any class or any activity which has temporal aspects such as date and time related to it, it is called as the event class. Organization class consists of three M's, which are material, manpower, and money. Person class, any individual who is performing certain roles, responsibilities, or tasks will be jotted under the person class. Then we have a place class. In place class, any of these three M it can be missing. So either money can be missing, or maybe the person is missing, or maybe the material is missing. This is the place where a person visits and there is no transaction taking place. Then at the last we have tangible and the device class. It talks about all those classes which we can touch and feel, such as a mobile, a book, a pen are the tangible things, or mobile is a device class. Then we have to identify the attributes and operations of a class. For the same, we have a three compartment box which is called as an icon, a class icon. The first compartment consists of a class name. This class name is written the very first alphabet of every word. It is written in the capital case. They are written in the center, and if possible they are more emphasized in terms that they are bold. Then in the second compartment we write down the name of attributes, and in the third we write down the name of operations. The naming conventions for writing attributes and operations, it is same. It tells us that we have to write the entire first word in smaller case, and we have to capitalize the first alphabet of the second word and third word and other words. In attributes, after writing an attribute name, we have to give a colon and followed by the data type. While in the case of operations, after writing an operation name, we have to write down, we have to give a pair of parentheses which may include the name of variables which are acting as an arguments for this given operations. Let us see the third step. The third step is about identifying relationship which exist amongst the classes. On the left hand side, you can see that I have written that this PhD guide can select streams. So here this selects becomes an association relation between the two classes. Also, I have given multiplicity amongst them. A PhD guide can select only one stream at a time. So 1:1 is the relation, or it is the multiplicity amongst stream and PhD guide. On the right hand side, you can see that I have given inheritance, which a is a type of relation. That is, we can read this particular relation as PhD student is a type of student. Also, MPhil student is also a type of student. So in this way, we have identified association and inheritance relation which exist in the given case study. In the fourth step, what we have done, we have identified the entire class icons, we have written their attributes and operations. Also, we have identified all the possible relation in form of association and inheritance. And combining this together, we get a consolidated class diagram. So in this way, now the system is represented more in a static form. Suppose that a user is unable to perform or the guide is unable to select stream. So this is a dynamic function, and this dynamic function, it is not handled by a class diagram. For that we require use case diagram or activity diagram or a sequence diagram. We can also draw the same using a collaboration diagram. But in class diagram, the alternative flows, the negative flows, they are not depicted. You have to draw a class diagram at the last step, and you have to refine it by adding multiple accessories components in this class diagram. These are attached notes which gives additional information about the system. So with this, I have completed teaching you all class diagram. Try to draw class diagram because it is a good for project documentation, project coding, and the reverse engineering, which is applicable for any project. Thank you so much for your patience listening.